issues that the court is doing to deal with is how is domestic partnership relationship different to you than marriage? And why is it that you want marriage so much when you have this opportunity?
Well, I don't have access to the words that describe my relationship right now. I'm a 45-year-old woman. I have been in love with a woman for 10 years, and I don't have a word to tell anybody about that. I don't have a word.
Would the word do it?
Well, why would everybody be getting married if it didn't do anything? I think it must do something. It appears to be really important to people, and I would really like to use the word too, because it symbolizes maybe the most important decision you make as an adult, who you choose. No one does it for you. You weren't born with that as your cousin and your uncle and your aunt. You chose them over everybody else, and you want to feel that it's going to stick, and that you will have the protection and the support and the inclusion that comes from letting other people know that you feel that way.
Do you think it would matter in your neighborhood, in your community, that you would be able to say that with you and Sandy were married, would it cause people to treat you differently?
I think it would be an enormous relief to our friends who are married. Our straight heterosexual friends that are married almost view us in a way that I know they love us, but I think they feel sorry for us, and I can't stand it. You know, many of them are either in their second marriage or their first marriage, but nevertheless, they have a word, and they belong to this institution or this group. And I can think of a time recently when I went with Sandy happily to a football game at the high school, where two of our kids go, and we went up the bleachers, and we were greeted with these smiling faces of other parents sitting there waiting for the game to start. And I was so acutely aware that I thought they are all married, and I'm not.
It sounds to me like your heterosexual friends don't feel threatened if you were to get married. That same-sex marriage doesn't sound like it threatens them.
No. The friends we have, I think, would feel better about their marriages if we could be married too. They would feel like they get to help support our family in a way that is familiar to them, makes sense to them. Right now, they are a little unsure, just like we are, of what we all should be doing because we are outside of any sort of tradition. It's just sort of this thing we invented that no one but us understands.
You've heard the argument, I think possibly in various different places, that allowing you to get married to a person of the same sex would damage the institution, the traditional institution of marriage. Do you agree?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for expert.
Sustained.
Have you discussed this with Sandy, the impact of the marriage relationship itself, if you were to prevail in this lawsuit?
Yes, of course we have. We've talked about it. And Sandy has been married before, and so, you know, I really envy her having had that experience. But we both believe that there would be a settling in and a deepening of our commitment if we could get through this, instead of feeling like it's everybody else's decision.
Did you, prior to filing this lawsuit, seek a marriage license?
Yes.
What happened? Describe that.
We went to the Alameda County Recorder's Office in May, having reached the point where we wanted to see if there was a permanent solution to this problem, and wanted to know in a more concrete way how Prop 8 was being enacted. And we indeed pulled a number, filled out a form, and waited for our turn. And the clerk that day, we sat down in front of her, and she opened up her computer and looked at the form we were trying to get, and her eyes got really big, and she looked at us and she said, "I'm sorry, but there are reasons why I don't think I can do what you were asking me to do, but I'm not comfortable not doing it. So I'm going to go get my boss. He's going to have to do it." So she left the cubicle and she went upstairs, and there was a long delay, and she came downstairs with her supervisor. And he had written down this Prop 8, the statute, I think, and he read from it. And he was very nervous and very upset and very, I'm sure, worried that we would be upset as well, which we were. And he said, after reading the statute, "I'm very sorry that I cannot give you this license, that I hope someday I can, and I hope you will come back."
Have you thought about the impact upon you of you and Sandy and your relationship and bringing a lawsuit and being a plaintiff in a civil rights case, and what that like?
I have been thinking about it a lot lately, and well, Sandy and I really like our life where we live in our house and we see our kids and we see our friends. We don't want anything to change about our life. In fact, we would really like our life to just get better and better. And when I think about whether or not what we want to have happen would make it possible for other people to have that happen, that makes me really happy. But it, most importantly, comes from a place of just wanting our lives to feel better than they do right now.
If the courts of the United States were ultimately decided that you and other same persons seeking to marry someone of the same sex did indeed have the constitutional right to get married, do you think that would have an effect on other acts of discrimination against you?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Close, but no objection. Overruled. You may answer.
I believe for me, personally, as a lesbian, that if I had grown up in a world where the most important decision I was going to make as an adult was treated the same way as everybody else's decision, that I would not have been treated the way I was growing up or as an adult. There's something so humiliating about everybody knowing that you want to make that decision and you don't get to do that. You know, it's hard to face the people at work and the people even here right now. And many of you have this, but I don't. So I have to still find a way to feel okay and not take every bit of discriminatory behavior toward me too personally, because in the end, that will only hurt me and my family. So if Prop 8 were undone, and kids like me growing up in Bakersfield right now could never know what this felt like, then I assume that their entire lives would be on a higher arc. They would live with a higher sense of themselves. It would improve the quality of their entire lives.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.